Welcome to episode 114 of BigRedBarel Geek Speak, a place for all your nerdy needs. On BigRedBarel.com, my name is Alex, I'm a self-appointed baroness of butts. I'm also the host for this episode, and joining me is the lovely, jauntily jubilant juggernaut of Joe.
Hello!
Hello, Joe!
Hello! Alright.
We also have a third guest. His name is Charlie. He's very furry and purry and lovely, and you won't hear him because Charlie is a cat. But he is there. He's a spirit. He's our mascot for this episode.
He is here. Like, just imagine a big brown furry cat, and you're there.
Yep.
If we want, we can put a picture in the show notes, and
we will.
Then you can use your imagination.
And he is a third host. Maybe if we ask really nicely, he'll meow. But that's about it.
Possibly. Yes. We'll see.
But that doesn't mean Charlie doesn't have opinions. He does. He's just polite and...
He keeps his opinions to himself. Like, he is very opinionated when he wants to be. But he keeps them to himself a lot of the time.
Yeah, especially when, give me food now.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. If it's an opinion related to food, then he's not shy about sharing it.
But there we go. So, on this show, it's me, Joe, and Charlie, guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Super Express podcast.
With some good morning opinions.
Yeah. I'm not too heavy on the opinions today.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you see one thing in the agenda that I see
true.
that I know you'll have opinions on?
That's true, yes. I will have opinions, so strap yourselves in.
So yeah. Opinions incoming. Anyway, let's start with the time waster of the week. And you can tell that we kind of ran out of good, quirky, niche time wasters. Because Time Waster of the Week for this week is Channel Awesome, a nostalgia critic, because I've been watching him a lot. But it's not like this channel needs promotion. But if you don't know about Nostalgia Critic, you guys are in for a treat. Because Nostalgia Critic does reviews, comedy skits on the movies, I would say. It's a very funny channel. I think still very justified criticisms. They do, sometimes when they're not allowed to include movie footage, they do kind of productions with the set of actors. They recreate scenarios.
Nice.
I actually quite like it. Like, I've not been watching him for a while, just recently kind of discovered him after hearing about Nostalgia Critic for like forever. And yeah, it gets all the thumbs up for me, so there's gonna be a link in the description for this episode, and you can go and check out some of his episodes.
I've never watched it. Is it kind of like, is he a bit snarky, or is it kind of affectionate kind of comedy?
It's snarky.
Oh.
But you know what, I think in a lot of cases the snark is justified.
Okay. So we're not like in a Cinema Sins situation where they're just being dicks.
No, I don't think so. Plus, you have to realize that through the nature of the comedy show, like, they're not really taking themselves very seriously.
That's cool.
So every bit of snark for me comes with the side, well, they're just having fun, so I'm more happy to accept that kind of snark rather than just someone being snarky for the sake of snarkiness.
Yeah.
And also they have a lot of crossover guests from other big channels, so I think Angry Joe was in one of the episodes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, which one was that? Was it one of the Batman v Superman ones that Angry Joe was on? Anyway, I think it's one of the DC ones. They're good fun.
Cool.
It's a recommend. Okay, let's go to the news.
News.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
That's our exciting news intro.
I don't know, do we need a jingle?
I feel like we should perhaps have a news jingle. Like this is the news. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Okay, Joe, I'm cutting this segment out. You just saying this is the news. Da-da-da-da-da-da. That's what I'm putting in front of every single one of them.
Brilliant.
What do you think, Charlie?
Meow.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the first topic of the news. So Disney might have its own streaming service. Well, actually, not might. It will have its own streaming service.
They already have one already. They have Disney Life.
Yeah, but they have that in kind of conjunction with Netflix, where they have all their superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And Force Awakens is currently on Netflix as well. What they're having is a service that will take all the stuff that they have on Netflix away from them.
Right.
And put on that dedicated separate channel.
Okay.
And basically intended to launch in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And Netflix will keep all its properties until about 2019, and then it will all move there. So, for instance, you're gonna get the 2 Star Wars movies on Netflix.
But not the third.
Yeah.
And all those other kind of like movies they do, like stuff like, what is it, the Princess Diaries type stuff? You know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah,
all those kind of tween movies. So if you love those, watch them now on Netflix because they're gonna go.
How do you feel about that?
I guess it kind of, it's obviously not great for us, because if we want to watch Disney stuff or, you know, any movies where they own the rights to and stuff, we're gonna have to pay for another subscription service. So that kind of sucks, but I can also see why they're doing it. I don't think it'll really hurt Netflix that much in the long run, because, you know, they've got plenty of their own stuff going on, and to be honest, their audience maybe aren't that bothered, but I don't really know. Yeah, I think it's just that, you know, probably expanding upon Disney Life a bit, really, because Disney Life's pretty cool. It's, you know, I don't think it's very expensive, and all the Disney movies are on it, so that's quite nice. So yeah, I don't really have any strong feelings on this either way, to be honest.
I mean, I'm kind of interested about Disney streaming service because they obviously have a lot of resources to pour into stuff.
Yeah,
and assuming they already have a lot of stuff to put on there, but they will also need something to, you know, like, we're adding this new thing to the service to get people excited. And I assume a lot of adding the old classics to the streaming service will keep that going for a while, but they will also need original content. And some of the, you know, Marvel superheroes, that'll be part of it, but there must be something else they're planning in the pipeline, and I'm interested to see what that is.
Yeah, and they have a lot of shows, don't they, for, like, young adults, kind of like high school type shows that are really popular. So I think it'll be stuff like that, and we'll have to just see. I mean, obviously it's happening, we'll just have to see how good it will be, what the offer will be, how much it will be. Like, if it's sensibly priced, and if you watch a lot of Disney stuff, then I don't really see the issue too much, I guess. We'll have to wait and see, I think. But yeah, like I said, I don't really have strong feelings on this either way.
One thing that makes me, you know, think who will be the target audience, but I think, like, parents with kids will be one of the best things for them to watch.
Yes. Well, it'll be quite handy for them, I guess, because at the moment, obviously, there's stuff on Netflix for them, but they have to be really careful that the kids don't start scrolling through and clicking on, like, The Punisher. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this is quite nice that they can just, you know, sit the kid down in front of Disney and leave him to it.
And for anyone who's worried about not having superhero or comic book stuff on Netflix, I didn't realize that earlier in August this year, they've actually, Netflix actually purchased Mark Millar's comic book publishing house.
Oh, right.
So the author of Kick-Ass and Kingsman and many other comics. So I think, you know, obviously Netflix knew in advance.
Yeah.
They did take some steps to have more properties in a similar genre to what they're losing. Honestly, quite excited, because personally, I have a lot of things to love both in Kingsman and Kick-Ass, and they have a lot more things. If you go to kind of Mark Millar's publishing company website, you'll see he's got plenty of other properties that something could be done with.
Cool. Okay, well, yeah, we've got a couple of years to wait, so we'll have to see how it develops.
Okay, so let's talk more Jude Law.
This is good news, I think. I like Jude Law at the moment.
Yep, nice blues robes, and apparently he's gonna be in Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that's cool. Seems like pretty good casting. I don't know enough about Captain Marvel to really say whether or not he's right for it, but Jude Law seems to be having a bit of a resurgence at the moment. Obviously, we're going to get him as Dumbledore, the young Dumbledore in Fantastic Beasts, which is great. If he can punch Johnny Depp in the face a couple of times, then I'm totally on board with that. But yeah, this seems pretty cool. I mean, quite excited about Captain Marvel already because it's Brie Larson and she's amazing in everything she does. So I'm quite looking forward to that. Yeah, this seems pretty cool. What do you think?
Again, I have zero knowledge about Captain Marvel's character. Or maybe I really should ahead of the movie. But apparently it's going to be Dr. Walter Lawson, aka Captain Marvel. Kree.
Do you think they have that thing where they're like, "Hi, I'm Captain Marvel. Hi, I'm Captain Marvel. That's my name. No, that's my name. What?"
You see, that's the thing, because we don't know anything about the story. Someone who knows the story probably rolled their eyes so hard at all we've been saying that they fell off the chair or off the sofa.
There's probably people, like, screaming at us right now, like, "For God's sake, nerds, get it right."
Like, honestly, if you don't know what's it about, it sounds kind of funny, guys.
Feel free to educate us on the Twitters and in the comments and stuff afterwards, please.
Yep. Another thing I don't think we've discussed, but Ben Mendelsohn will be the baddie as far as I understand in this movie as well.
I know the name, but I can't picture him right now. What was he in, Ben Mendelsohn?
He was Krennic in Rogue One.
Oh! Yeah, okay.
Dude with the white cape.
Oh, that's a good shout. Yes, of course. He's a great villain. Yeah. Good. Yeah. That works.
I like how a lot of actors are kind of jumping from one Disney property to another.
Yeah, why not?
Like that guy. More of that guy.
One thing is, like, once you make friends with the producers and become pally with them, when a role comes up, they're going to be like, hey, yeah, how about my mate Ben? Yeah, he'd be good for this. Get him in. So you see that quite a lot. Like, certain actors will work with certain directors and producers over and over and over again.
But yes, so far, all bits of casting for Captain Marvel makes me excited to see the movie. Yeah,
like I said, I'm like you. I have no real knowledge of the source material at all, but I'm quite excited for this film. I think it could be quite fun. Like if they have a good tone with it, it could be interesting. So yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still a little bit disappointed we don't have a Black Widow movie, but
I know what I mean. We've had like 3 Iron Mans, and we can't get one Black Widow movie. Come on, people!
I know.
She's so cool as well. It would be great. Like a Black Widow origin story would be amazing. Ugh.
You know what? Considering what they told us so far about her origin story, it makes me worried. I'd rather not. I mean, technically, she got half a movie with Captain.
I guess, yeah. To be fair,
America,
at least she's like
Winter
a
Soldier.
main. Yeah, at least she's like a key player in those. She's not just like relegated to the sidelines as the woman.
Yeah. Okay, moving to another news that I'm personally super happy about.
Of course you are.
So,
of course you are.
Betrayal at the House on the Hill, a board game, is going to be a legacy game in 2018.
Cool.
First of all, I think I want to clarify what a legacy game is. So there is a lot of games in the legacy game genre. And if you know, there is Pandemic Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
There is another legacy game coming that I'm blanking out on the name of.
There was Seafall, wasn't there?
Possibly.
Yes, Seafall definitely was a legacy game. I don't think it was as good as the others. I didn't play it, but some friends of mine did, and I don't think it was as good.
Yeah, and there is Risk Legacy as well. Everyone knows Risk, I think, or at least what it's about if you don't know what Pandemic is. But for the idea of legacy game, it's a game that is played once, pretty much. Usually it's better to play it with the same group of people.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing about the game is that the game kind of changes and progresses. It's almost like a permanent world to where you make changes, and based on your decisions, certain things happen.
Yeah.
And when we played Risk, a lot of stuff happened. You know, we ended up nuking a part of the world, and that stayed permanently nuked. There were various stickers and notes going on the map, making sure that our map looked like no one else's map. Like, we'd never have the same game, because no one else would make exactly the same decisions or exactly the same turns as we do. There are also all sorts of different secret cards and secret missions and secret outcomes. And Pandemic Legacy, which is based on a pandemic game, and it's a board game about fighting the diseases around the world, it has risen to the top charts of board games, and it stayed there for quite a while. It is
very good. I mean, Pandemic Legacy was amazing. My friends and I played a lot of Gloomhaven as well, which is like dungeon crawler legacy game.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant. Like, you can see why people were kind of clamoring for it and why it was so popular almost immediately. But that's, so it's the same sort of thing. Like, you never get the same game twice, because you really can't. You're making permanent changes to the game as you go through, and it's your own story. So it's really cool, I think. I like a good legacy game.
It just shows they have Pandemic Legacy Season 2 now out. So they're going very well. Anyway, Joe, have you ever played Betrayal at the House on the Hill?
I haven't. What's it about?
I think you're gonna love it because it's based on the B-style horror movies.
Oh, cool.
So the idea of Betrayal at the House on the Hill, it has certain different elements, but one of them is absolutely one of my favorite mechanic in board games. But the idea is that you are this almost stereotypical characters that banded together for some reason, and they are RPG-like, so they have a little bit of a starting stats, and their stats will change, going lower and higher throughout the game depending on decision ones. And you end up in this house, and the door closes, and you can't escape. So what you end up doing is you end up exploring the house. And you have the house tiles that are spread over different floors that you turn over and visit, and there are different events that happen that are usually creepy and come with this beautiful long cards, so a little bit like a place setting, a little bit of a flavor text. You also can pick up different equipment, so different weapons throughout the game, and then you have omens. And the thing about omens is that at first they look kind of good because they make you a bit stronger, they give you companions, they do all these things. However, they are kind of bad, because at a certain point during the game, you're gonna get enough omen to trigger a thing. And in that thing, you'll find out that one of your characters is a betrayer.
Oh.
So it is completely random, and it's kind of based on certain circumstances. And then this is where the game becomes really interesting, because everyone else who's not a betrayer become the survivor heroes, and then there is a betrayer trying to do whatever he wants to do. And both groups of characters get books with the designated scenario. In the base game, I can't remember, but there's like 20-something scenarios. And now they have also the expansion Widow's Wail that adds just as many scenarios to the game as well. Every scenario, the survivors know something and the bad guys know something, but they never know the whole story. So the bad guys knows what he needs to do, or what he or she needs to do to achieve the winning condition, and the good guys know what they need to do to stop the bad guy, but they don't exactly always know exactly what the bad guy is trying to do. So part of the game is not only trying to survive and escape the house and beat the bad guy, but in many cases figure out what every group of people are doing. That game was full of kind of fun little tropes and fun little nods and winks.
Oh, that sounds cool. That sounds really cool, yeah.
It is. It's absolutely cool. I recommend, if you're not familiar with the game, there is Will Wheaton's Tabletop. Did 2 episode series on Betrayal in the House on the Hill. Actually, I think Ashley Birch is in that episode.
But she's amazing.
She is. So
I
think you should watch that one.
Yeah, no, I will. It sounds like a cool game. I might have to try and play it, because, you know, I'll be interested in the Legacy version when that comes out for sure, but I might just play the normal game. Yeah. It sounds really cool. Yeah.
I mean, if you watch that video, it will spoil one haunt for you. And here's the thing, like, if you know haunts, it's a bit of a meh situation, because you know the outcomes and you know what everyone else is doing.
Okay.
But it's one haunt among other 20 plus something. So you still have 20 plus times you can play the game through. And I owned that game for a very, very long time, and I love it. It's one of my favorite games. I think I actually reviewed it for BigRedBarel, so there's a review of it out there somewhere if you want more details. I still haven't done every single haunt that there is in that book, and now I have an expansion, so I have even more haunts.
That sounds awesome. That sounds really good fun.
Well, anyway, after all this description, I mean, the fact that the Legacy game is coming out, I'm so excited about this, because...
Yeah, it sounds like it could work quite well for a Legacy game. It could be pretty cool, so I'm on board.
So am I. Okay, so the next topic of news is more a public service announcement rather than news, really, because I wasn't aware that this was happening, so as soon as I discovered, I was like, no, I've missed so much! But Neil Gaiman's Anansi Boys are coming to BBC Radio 4, and apparently he's been doing this yearly with his works. So he had Good Omens, Stardust, How Marquis Got His Call Back, and all the other things. Around Christmas time on BBC Radio 4 before.
And they do it as like a drama, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just him reading it out, they're actually like acting it out. That's cool.
Yeah, and that's a great recommend. Like, if you guys don't know, Anansi Boys is kind of a little spin-off series from American Gods. And I think I agree, Mr. Nancy was one of our favorite things in that TV show.
Yes.
He was fantastic.
He was very good.
And he's part of the Anansi Boys, if no one figured out. He's like a spidery African god. I'm not entirely sure from exactly which culture he is, but he was absolutely fantastic in that show. I've not read the Anansi Boys, the actual book, but if it's gonna be on BBC Radio 4, I mean, I don't know, for anyone who's not listening to us in UK, I have no idea how you access Radio 4, even if you can, from abroad.
No idea. I think it's on, like, iPlayer, so I don't know whether iPlayer has, like, overseas subscriptions or something now. I'm not sure, because there's, like, BBC America, isn't there, where you can sort of, like, access some things if you're abroad. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I will say, if they are doing this radio show, it is a high likelihood that it might make to Audible at some point. So maybe it's worth keeping an eye on Audible for it, and if for people who subscribe to Audible, which I think freaking bargain. But yeah, you might want to keep an eye on Audible and see if you're really interested in hearing this play, to see if it shows up there, because I'll definitely be doing that. Because knowing me, I'll probably be excited right until I forget a couple of days before, and then I'll miss it and I'll be gutted. So
yeah, but iPlayer, it'll be on iPlayer. You'll be fine.
Probably. I forget that iPlayer exists. That's my problem. I don't know why.
I don't use it much, to be honest, because I there's a few things that I like to watch. So I'm happy to pay the license fee for certain things. So like there's Blue Planet on at the moment, which is just extraordinary. Like the cinematography in that program is just beyond anything. It's just incredible. So yeah, I'm happy to sort of pay for stuff like that. And yeah, there's a few other things like I like Sherlock, Doctor Who, obviously. So yeah, I don't watch iPlayer much at all, but there's just a few key things. Yeah.
I used to watch Cormoran Strike, and sometimes I catch up on Graham Norton on it, and that's about it. So there you go. Okay, guys, I think it's we're done with the news. This is the speediest.
That's the news. Da, 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 da.
This is the speediest we've ever been for the news.
It's because there's only two of us and Charlie.
We're like, all our ideas out, done. Let's go. Okay, Joe, you ready to have some strong opinions?
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
It is the morning. Opinions are ready.
So, let's talk about Justice League, Joe. That says it all, doesn't it?
Okay, right.
Oh, by the way, I haven't seen it. Just want to clarify.
Okay, well, I won't give any spoilers.
Honestly, don't care, but I think listeners might, so probably, yes, that's a good idea.
But I'll preface this by saying that I went into Justice League with very low expectations, and so I wasn't disappointed because I had no expectations for it. Yeah, it sucks. Basically, it's so meh. Like, it's not the worst film I've seen all year, because that honour still belongs to Transformers. It's just so mediocre and bland, and it's borderline irritating in a lot of ways. So, okay, so let's talk about Wonder Woman, right? So Wonder Woman came out a little while ago. Bloody amazing film. She's great in it. Empowered, strong, brilliant. You know, it was great. Now, Justice League, with how they approach Wonder Woman as a character, has taken such a massive step back. It's just irritating.
How many upskirt shirts were there?
Oh, too many. Too many. And like when at one point she's got like these PVC trousers on and the camera's like lingering on her ass from behind, and I'm like, guys,
I have not seen the movie, but I've heard so much about this freaking trousers already.
It's so annoying. Like, I'm like, dudes, this is Wonder Woman. This is not what she's for. She's not like some character to objectify. She's Wonder Woman.
Okay, but as a comparison, if we're talking about objectifying, in comparison to upskirt shots, how many times does the camera linger on Jason Momoa's chest or abs?
There's a few shots of him with his top off. Yeah, I would say it's fairly equal. But the difference is that he's not Wonder Woman. And, so my issue with this is like, so obviously going into it from Wonder Woman, and Gal Gadot, bless her, does her best, and she's still great, and she's doing her best to bring an air of gravitas and dignity to the whole thing. But, you know, ultimately she's failing because she can only do what the script and what the direction is allowing her to do. She's the best thing in it by a country mile. But it's just, they've taken, like, that character that was so strong and inspirational in Wonder Woman and just made her an object of affection again, or something to lust over, or basically to prop up Batman. Oh my god, there's a few scenes where, like, Batman and Alfred, Jeremy Irons, are having, like, little conversations, and one of them will make a bit of a hey remark about Wonder Woman, like, oh yeah, I bet she'll go for a date or something, you know, silly little comments like that about how Batman fancies Wonder Woman, and it was just like, guys, please, that's not what she's for. There was I don't know if you saw it, there was a tweet that did the rounds where someone had put images of the Amazons in it, and one of it was the Amazons from Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman and the Amazons from Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I may have retweeted that one.
Yeah, I did too, because it's bang on, really, like the difference between the two, and I think that the tweet's going on about how the difference between the male and the female gaze is pretty stark here, and it is. Like, you look at the Amazons in Wonder Woman, and they're strong, and they're sexy, but in a way that's kind of empowering to them, and they're not there for a man to ogle. Whereas in Justice League, you have, like, key Amazon characters in essentially bikinis, and they're there for men in the audience to go, whoa, yeah, whoa, Amazons, whoa, and you're just like, guys, come on, that's not what they're for. That irritated me, but at that point I just kind of was like, sat in my chair just kind of like shaking my head in dismay and just laughing it off, like, oh my god, seriously, Zack Snyder, get a grip. But to be honest, I expected it. I knew that's what I was going to get from this movie, and so I wasn't going into Justice League expecting it to be a beacon for feminist cinema or anything like that. But you know, you could look aside from that kind of thing if the film itself was anything other than terminally dull, but it just isn't. The Flash is good. Like, the Flash is really funny, and he steals a few scenes, and he's like a little shining beacon of enjoyment in the film. So, you know, when he's there, it's quite fun to watch. But oh my god, the rest of them are just phoning it in. Like, Aquaman, you don't care about Aquaman at all. He's completely two-dimensional and bland. You've got no idea who
it's
he
Jason
is.
Momoa. He's pretty.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's pretty, but he's also really boring. And at certain points in the film, he's just a bit lechy, and he's like, yeah, I dig it. Yeah, I'd hit that. He's so bants, like lad bants. You're like, no, come on.
Do you know, I was listening to the interview of one of my favorite writers, and they were talking about the character he was very kind of in style with the Aquaman, the big, broody guy. And he was talking about writing him, because they started writing him with the premise that is going to be the opposite of the other character in the series, which was also big, broody man, but really clever. So, and he was like, you know what? When you're writing the opposite, obviously we had a clever character before, and we thought, oh, well, we want to see the character that has slightly different views of a system that they grew up than the kind of the character we did before, and also a big broody man. But we could have made them stupid. We could have made him this but dude. But here's the reason. If we did make him that, it just wouldn't be as interesting. Instead, they made him a character that seems broody and loud and fun and open and kind of a little bit, not edgy, but you know, like a big flirt and stuff like that. But then he's also the character who is a little bit smarter than everyone in the room, but you don't actually realize that. And that's what makes that character different. And when I was listening to that, I was thinking in my head, God, if that is Aquaman, that is going to be so good.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
He's just, he's like a dude bro surfer lech, basically. And he's just so bland, like, you have no real reason to care about him at all. And the same goes for Cyborg. Like, there's a bit of a backstory with Cyborg about how he came to be how he is, which in the hands of a more accomplished director could have been quite something, but it's just so mediocre. You just honestly don't give a stuff about it at all. The villain is completely pointless and useless, and it's like proper B-grade CGI effects on the villain. Like, he just looks stupid. Like, he's got the uncanny valley thing going on, and it's just not good at all. But, you know, like, the biggest thing about this film, like the biggest criticism I can level at it really, is that it was just so boring and so mediocre. I fell asleep for a little bit in it, I'm not gonna lie. When I woke up, I was like, oh yeah, it's still happening, okay, fine. And there were points where I was kind of making my own fun for the film, so I think everyone is kind of watching it trying to spot where they've digitally removed Henry Cavill's moustache.
Yeah. How's that game going?
And even Superman, like, I love the character of Superman, but in this film he's a bit of a knob, and so it's not fun to watch.
Is it spoilers to say that Superman isn't there?
Oh, come on, he's in it. Please.
I mean, I think it's quite obvious, like, even from the ending of the last, Batman v Superman, that he's going to be in there. But I don't know if people is going to get in our case. But
that's one of the big jokes, really, is that they were trying to pretend that he wasn't in the film for so long. You're like, guys, come on, seriously, guys, stop it.
Have you heard that Empire podcast interview with Henry Cavill? They were like, talking to him, is like, you're not allowed to say as if you were in Justice League or not. He's like, nope. So, and you're promoting this reason out of the goodness of this film, out of the goodness of your heart. Yep, that's what I'm doing, because I'm not in Justice League.
Yep, I'm just here for fun. I've got no reason at all to promote this movie. I come on the set and don't do any other work on there. Just basically spent however months it took to film Justice League not doing anything, because I'm such a good trooper. I'm only there for moral support. like I said, not the worst film I've seen this year, but it has so few redeeming qualities that I honestly can't recommend it to anyone except like a major DC fan might go into it and sort of find something to enjoy. But as an average moviegoer, I just found it so boring. I literally can't say much about it other than meh. You know, it's just, no, just watch Wonder Woman again, because that was amazing. Just go and watch Wonder Woman and that'll do.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Thinking of the way in which order to phrase them, I think I'm gonna go with this one. So obviously, even though it's Zack Snyder film, and I'm mimicking the quotes here, because Joss Whedon came in and did some doctoring.
That's right,
on
yeah,
the
he did some pickups.
And on the reshoots.
Yeah.
So what I'm interested to see, because obviously they both quite distinct tone. Can you tell which bits are Whedon and which bits are Snyder?
I couldn't really tell, but I would say that, without going into super spoilerific territory, I would say that the moments of levity in the film are more likely to be the Whedon stuff. And the silly, bombastic, serious moments are more likely to be Snyder. It's just a hodgepodge of nonsense. And the pacing in this movie, honestly, I forgot to say, it just makes no sense. And there's things in this film that make no sense. Like, just massive gaps in credibility and logic. Oh, no. It basically, what needed to happen with this script is, rather than Joss Whedon come in and doctor it, it needed to be set on fire, then the ashes needed to be taken away and buried somewhere so they couldn't come back to life, and then someone needed to start from scratch. Or, go back in time and do an Aquaman movie and a Cyborg movie and a Flash movie, so that we all know these characters and care about them a bit more before they tried to chuck them together in a big old soup.
I mean, I don't know how true it is. It's kind of the reports of the reports, so whatever I say from now on, take it with a bit of grain of salt. But apparently the first original Zack Snyder cut of this movie was 3 hours long and unwatchable, at which point the studio made...
God, that sounds like torture.
At which point the studio said this movie has to be 2 hours max, pretty much. And, the tragedy happened in Snyder's family and Joss Whedon came aboard. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. From what I understand, a lot of things we've seen in the trailers are not even in these movies, because it's things that got cut out post trying to make that 3-hour monster into this 2-hour movie with reshoots.
I don't envy Joss Whedon at all, because it must have been a Herculean task to come in and try and take what Snyder had made into some sort of coherent 2-hour movie. And, he doesn't succeed, basically, and it's not Whedon's fault. He was given a bad bunch from the beginning. It's not cool. It's not a good film. Just avoid it, really, unless you're in a desperate need to see Ben Affleck phoning it in as Batman again on the big screen.
Isn't he ready to leave again?
Yeah, I know they're talking about making the Batman, but to be honest, I don't like him as Batman anyway. He's not a good Batman for me, personally. I know other people like him and stuff, but I'm not a fan. And yeah, I feel like at this juncture, making a sequel to Justice League is just asking for trouble. They're just going to take I think I've read that they're already going to lose money on Justice League because it's not performed as well as they'd hoped. Really, they just need to take a step back and look at why these movies aren't working, and then look at why Wonder Woman worked, and sort of take some lessons from that and sort of say, okay, well, Wonder Woman was a big success. It was a good film. It was really well done. What can we learn from this and put to our other properties? Because what they're doing with Batman and Superman and stuff, it's not working. Someone needs to kind of take control of it a bit, I think.
Because obviously, I don't know how much of this was Joss Whedon influence or just them trying to take a new direction, but this movie does seem to have a lot more humor. Does it feel like marvelizing it, or does it feel like it works at all, or at least is kind of leaning into direction that you think might be good?
I think, obviously with the Flash is the major point of humor in the film, and he's great. The Flash is really cool. Ezra Miller plays it really well, and it's a really fun, cool character. And to be honest, without him, the film would just be a slog of misery. But he's it's I think if they're trying to be like Marvel, they're really going about it the wrong way, because you can't just chuck one humorous character in and hope that that's gonna be like a plaster on top of a massive gaping wound. They need to really strip it right back to the drawing board and look at because DC characters are very different from Marvel characters, and they can't do it the same way. I think they need to come up with a totally new approach.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. So I'm sorry that I can't be more positive about Justice League. I mean, like I say, not the worst film I've seen this year, but definitely not recommended.
You know, curiosity killed the cat, so I'm sure I'll watch it at some point, just not in the cinema.
Yeah.
I've not watched Batman v Superman in the cinema, and I don't regret it.
No, I didn't see it either.
Hey, let's talk about something we like and something that's good. How about
that?
Yeah,
let's talk about something good.
Yay! So, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Frozen Wilds, we both played it.
Robot dinos!
Yeah!
Yes.
So how far are you into
this game.
The expansion, Joe?
I think I'm probably about halfway through it. I think.
All right.
I don't want to go into like super specific details, but I'm like the chieftain now, and I've done a few other things, and yeah,
that was about halfway through. Well, I've finished the main story. I still have a couple of things to do, but it's pretty much just trophy hunting at this point. Because I don't have to do anything else. But yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic. There are a few things. Obviously, Horizon. This is Horizon. If you like Horizon, this is more of Horizon. And there's a little excellent story, a great map to explore, some more robot dinos to shoot at, and all that kind of stuff. But there are a few things that I'm like, they're not criticism is so much, but I think things to be aware if you're planning to buy DLC. So for example, I found that if you play it post-game, and especially having done the platinum for it and pretty much completed everything else in the main game, you start off and you have this super fancy armor. And I don't know how many people actually went through that quest line and found everything in the main game to get that armor. But that armor basically takes damage and recharges, cancelling that damage.
Yeah.
And at some point, I just had to take it off because it wasn't challenging enough for me with that armor on.
Yeah, I did the same. But then I think that's something that they've been aware of, is that armor is a little bit OP, and it was kind of a reward for finishing the main game.
Yeah, pretty much. But you can play that expansion midway through the game, although I think it'd be hard, though, no?
Yeah, I must admit, it's harder than the main game. Like, the expansion's pretty tough in places.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna spoil the final boss, but it took me forever. And then I ran out of everything while I was trying to kill that boss. I literally had just my arrows left. I had ammo from fancy 2 new weapons that I had. Gone.
Yeah.
Didn't have enough resources to craft them because I used them all. I had all my bombs. Yep, ran out of that. I had fire arrows. Didn't have any of that. At one point, I was just shooting him with arrows and coming and sticking him up with my stick and running away screaming, because that's the only thing I could do.
Nice, yeah. Poke him with your staff and then run away.
But yeah, that was brutal. Another thing, again, if you're playing it post-game, I don't think it matters, but if you're gonna play this expansion mid-game, you do get some powerful weapons that make life a lot easier.
Those bows are lovely.
I didn't get any bows, but I did get like a shooting stuff, like the electricity stuff.
Yeah, oh, that one where you electrocute things. That's really cool. But yeah, the bows are really good. They're more powerful than the ones you get in the main game.
See, here's the thing. I hardly used the bow at all in this game. I had my little grenades that are super effective. And then I had my electricity staff. And that's all I ever needed. Like, I only use the bow to kill badgers.
Oh, see, I will quite often, like, soften them up with a tear blast arrow first to kind of knock off key components. Then I'll use elemental attacks to either set them on fire or freeze them, and then finish them up with my hard point arrows. But then if I'm getting overwhelmed, I'll use the electric shock thing to kind of try and limit them down a little bit. But that's one of the things I love about this game, is there's so many different ways to approach the combat. Like, you could use the rope caster and tie them down. You can override things and have them fight for you, which I've done more than once. So yeah, I think it's great. It's a great expansion to an already great game, and it's so pretty with all the snow, and you can make snow angels in the snow.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
So it's really nice.
I mean, one thing I want to especially praise it for is that their map design, like, they really think it through. And not just in terms of what's interesting thing to find, but in terms of the overall world. Because at the end of the once you go through the story, it becomes a little bit clear to you why some map elements are where they are. And it's just like good. They thought things through. They thought, like, if we put this facility there, it will require B thing and A thing and C thing to support it. And that's why you can find them on the map and explore them.
It's so good. It's not like it's a map in service of a story rather than a map in service of collecting all the stuff. Like, you know, like in an Ubisoft game, like some of them are better than others, but quite often the map is just full of stuff. Just, it's like busy work. Whereas with Horizon, the map is part of the story and it all makes sense. Everything's come together to make this brilliant game, so you have great story, great map, great combat, and it all ties in together to bring this whole experience. So yeah, it's such a good game. I love it.
And again, it does have some collectibles, but actually in this case, did you find a merchant that tells you something about the wooden figurines that you're collecting yet?
Yes, he's pretty cool. There's a dude and he talks about the animals and stuff, and you get some quite good stuff for doing it.
So it has some payoffs that are really, like, and like that dude, I absolutely just walked by him. Like, he shows up on your map as a trader, but there's so many of them, I wouldn't have necessarily gone to him, except I ran past this cave, heard the audio cues, and I was like, what's there? This looks interesting. Turn around. Oh, there's a whole thing to tell me about the figurines and what they're for.
It's cool. I like the pigment lady, and when you give her all the pigments, when she makes that amazing picture.
Oh man, I haven't found the pigment lady yet.
Oh, that made me a bit emotional. Like, get all the pigments and take. She's in the first, like, I can't remember the name of the place, but the first, like, major habitat settlement that you come across, and she's kind of at the back and you have to climb up a bit of stuff to get to her, and she's like essentially a graffiti artist for the Banuk. And she's ever so cool. If you take her all the pigments, she does this amazing wall art, and I was like when she did it was really beautiful.
I need to find her.
Yeah, you definitely need to do that.
This is the funny thing, I think I told you about this, but basically when I got this game, I was like, right, I'm not doing this again. I'm just gonna play with this game at my leisure and do everything I want to do. I'm not gonna trophy hunt. And then half for the game, looking at trophies, like, can do that one, can do that one.
Yeah, I did the same. I was like,
God damn it, I'm doing them all again.
When I started it, I fully intended to try for the platinum, because I was like, yeah, you know what, this is a game for me. I'm going to really enjoy this game, and I might go for it. And then as I started playing it, I was like, yeah, this is totally achievable, because there's not any difficulty trophies. So yeah, the hardest one's probably the hunting, like the hunting challenges.
The hunting challenges. Here's the thing with the hunting challenges, and this is a little tip. You might need to do them to unlock a quest, but you possibly don't have to do them. But seriously, there will be a quest line that allows you to upgrade your new weapons. And honestly, do it before you return to hunting grounds to do the hunting challenges, because as soon as you do that electricity gun
becomes
just
a lot
murders
easier.
Everything, and you'll get all your first places, gold suns, or whatever they're called, like, without any pain whatsoever. So if you hate hunting challenges,
I just find I ran out of time. I just don't do it quick enough,
If you hate hunting challenges as I do, then this is the best way to do it. Just upgrade your weapons to the wazoo and then go there and just electrocute everything in your sight.
That is an excellent tip.
But yeah, otherwise, I forgot how much I loved Horizon until I played this.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like when Hellblade came out, I was so in love with Hellblade, I was like, okay, yeah, this is my game of the year now. Horizon's in second place. But now I've played the DLC and gone back to this world again, I realised, remembered everything that I love about it. So now Horizon's not in first place again, because it's so lovely. I just love the world, and I love the character and the story, and robot dinosaurs. I mean, it is like someone went into my head and made a game that was just for me. So yeah, it's magnificent. If you have a PlayStation and you're not playing this, then I don't think we can be friends.
Yeah, and also, there's nothing wrong with the camera.
There's nothing wrong with the camera.
Oh, we do love you, Bruno, but...
Not that I don't think he even listens to this, but still, we love you. I don't know. Maybe.
We're calling to you, Bruno. We're talking about you. That means somewhere you're gonna, like, get hiccups or something.
Yeah, his ears will pick up. He'd be like, what? Someone mentioned the camera?
What stops those hiccups? All right. Geek Speak are talking about me. I need to listen. What are those two idiots saying about the camera? The camera is wrong. I Bruno say it.
But yes, play Horizon, everybody. It's brilliant.
Yes, agreed. Okay, let's talk about Punisher.
Angry Punchy Man, as I like to call him.
You have started watching it, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I keep falling asleep in it. Like, I've been super busy at work this last week, and we try and watch it, and I'll be like, yeah, and then I'm like, and I'm just out. So we're on like episode 6, but I think I've missed quite a lot.
I watched the whole of the season, and actually at some point I couldn't stop watching, because I've
cool.
actually really, really, really liked Punisher.
Oh, good. Because it's been getting some mixed reviews, so I wasn't quite sure. Like, some people are saying it's amazing, and then other people are saying not so much. So I'm kind of like,
I honestly think this is a show that's just going to be in the camp. Some people will really like it, and some people will not like it at all. It's just...
I like that they're not hanging about with the violence. Like, they're making it proper violent, which it should be.
It's a Punisher.
Because, it's the Punisher. Yeah. He needs to stop snapping people's arms, though. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that.
Well,
I'm like, whoa, dude!
There's a lot more blood coming, is all I'm going to say.
Ooh. I see blood is fine, but I just don't like people's bones getting snapped.
What I think might disappoint people about Punisher, that they are expecting a Marvel TV show. And I honestly think this is in a complete different division, because there aren't even any superheroes or superpowers in the show at all. It's a really story about war vets coming from war, having been made do some horrible stuff that they had to do because they were following order, but living with that guilt in the world that doesn't really get them anymore because they've not been to the war, and a whole thing about trying to deal with that, and with the Punisher and a lot of other war vets that in the show. And in that sense, you might not like the topic, or you might not find the topic interesting. I find it completely interesting because I find all things that are super different to my life and a completely different perspective fascinating, just overall. So I loved that whole really in-depth look at it, in my opinion, and look at it not just from Punisher's point of view, but from point of view of several different characters who came pretty much from the same thing, but kind of deal with it in different ways, and they have certain levels of getting over it, let's just say, but not really getting over it, if you know what I mean.
So it's kind of like, there's definitely a theme of post-war PTSD kind of thing going on, which is really interesting.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that I really, really like. The first thing is that I think a lot of criticism for the series will be, again, that it's slow. I don't want to hark back to our whole Blade Runner 2049 discussion, but I honestly think slow is good in this.
Nothing wrong with slow at all. Like, I would rather slow than the bloated Justice League mess that was all over the place too fast.
Yeah.
Yes, slow is good.
Slow is good because they take their time to set the scene, they take their time to explore the characters. And there's one episode where two characters pretty much all they do is sit in the basement and stalk, right? Which on the surface doesn't sound very exciting. But I think even though you kind of know the outcome of this encounter, that they will band together, they're not trying to, the TV show is not trying to say, fooled you, you didn't think they'd be together, but they are together even though they didn't like each other at the start, did you see that coming? And you're like, yeah, I saw that coming. And they know you're gonna see that coming, and you know that you will, as a viewer, predict the outcome of this meeting or of this pairing, because you're not an idiot. You kind of can tell how the story goes because it's been going that way for bajillions of TV series and movies. You've been there, you've done that. But it's not important that they get together and you've seen that coming. I think it's important how they get together and how these characters interact, and they really spend time building that stuff up. And actually, if you remember our conversation about Game of Thrones that we had with Di, and he said that in Game of Thrones they stopped doing things for the making scenes for the characters, they started making scenes for the viewers. And actually, I would argue that in terms of Punisher, they do a lot of scenes for the characters rather than for the viewers.
Well, that's good. That's good, and it's worth it in the end.
Yeah. So let me give you an example that I think will be the less spoilery, and it's still in the same basement. So in this basement, we have a character who has to type a password in the computer, right?
Oh, yeah. I watched this one last night.
Okay, so you'll know exactly what I mean. And the first time he types, the camera zooms in and he's typing, you kind of think, it's just a quirky way he's typing it, but okay, everyone has their quirks. And you move along. And then he's typing it the second time. And then you're thinking, right, they're showing me how he's typing, so this must be important. there is a payoff at the end. So you already got it. You got what the series is trying to set up, where the narrative is going. Yet, it's showing you how he's typing the third time. And at this point, you can either get offended and think, oh my god, the series thinks I'm such an idiot. Yes, I saw this before. I got the cues. I know this is going to be important somehow later. Or you can think, the series knows we got it, but the characters didn't get it. This third time is not for us. It's for the characters, right? And then the fourth time he types it, something different happens.
Yeah.
It's not like a huge revelation or significant difference, but it is just a little nod. And there is a few of them throughout the series that I just think are really nice, because it does show that they are thinking about it deeper. They're thinking about it more. They are making it for the characters and for the development of the characters. I think that's just really good. And yes, it kind of starts a bit slow, but it ramps up really nicely. And especially the last 3 episodes, I think, are just really high points of the series. There is an episode that I'm a little bit meh about. And again, I'm gonna compliment them because it's an episode with a lot of flashbacks that I'm not entirely sure it works. But what I'm gonna say, at least they've tried something different. Because so many shows are just doing the same thing over and over again. And at least the show said, let's try this structure. And whether it works for you or doesn't work for you is not for me to judge. I was a little bit meh on that episode, but at least they did something different.
Yes. No, I mean, I'm quite enjoying it, what I have seen, and, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I have fallen asleep quite a bit in it, but I need to, so I really should rewatch it properly from the start. But I'm enjoying what I am seeing. Like, you know, he's super angry punchy man, and John Bernthal is excellent at being super angry punchy man. I do wish he'd have a cough sometime though. That gravelly voice, I'm like, you must be hurting your throat. Just have a cough.
Yeah, especially since it's not his speaking voice. Like, if you listen to John Bernthal in real life, bless him, he's a way more mellower man than he is as Punisher.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, come on, you know, it's fine. Just clear your throat. It's okay. But no, it's really cool, and he's great for the character. So,
and one thing, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Karen shows up in the show, and can I just say, I so much like Karen Punisher than Karen and Matt Murdock. I never got Karen and Matt Murdock thing. They just didn't seem right together or feel together. Yeah, but Karen and Punisher just feel so great. And the last thing I add before we move on to the next topic is that obviously we like Marvel, but we're not diehard Punisher fans. But I do live and married to a pretty much lifelong Punisher fan, and I don't know how many. Like, the majority of comics that we have around the house are Punisher comics, and a bunch of Punisher memorabilia that, if you were questioning his dedication to the character. And he also absolutely loved it and said it was one of the truest representations of the character on the screen.
Good, good.
Because he finished watching it a little bit later, and there was a point where he ran into the room and he's like, oh my god, I've just realized what they're setting up for the next season. Ah!
Oh, it's
which
adorable.
Was bless.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So it's really nice. And actually, about that setup, I don't know. I mean, he's a big Punisher fan, and he didn't see that coming. There is a little bit of a nod. So if you know some of the Punisher baddies, you might spot who's probably going to be like the next series baddie or a baddie like coming along. But I thought it was still pretty subtly done. It was still done very nicely.
Good.
Anyway, from me to you, I think Punisher is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And I honestly think, for example, like, I don't think Lauren will like Punisher just from knowing from what stuff she likes and she doesn't like. I think that series is not for her personally, but it was absolutely a series for me.
Yes, I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely enjoying it, and it's certainly a lot better than dumb old Iron Fist,
and so much better than Defenders. Thank God, I was worried.
Yeah, well, yeah. But now I need more Jessica Jones. When are we getting Jessica Jones?
I hope soon. I don't know. I've not been checking.
I need it. She's so good.
She is.
I mean, how would you rank Punisher in, like, the scale? So obviously we have Jessica Jones at the top because she's amazing. But where would you put Punisher in relation to the others?
Look, here's the thing. The scale for me is a bit tilted because I've never watched Daredevil 1.
Well, that was good. Daredevil 1 was really good.
And that is just off my scale completely. But honestly, if I had to, and again, they're very different things, but it is, like, Jessica Jones first place, that's very strong second place.
Yeah,
and then, cool. I don't know, and then following that, Daredevil Season 2 and Luke Cage and then everything else was just down, like, down,
Iron
down,
Fist
down,
is right
down,
down,
down, Defenders and Iron Fist. Down.
Yeah. Excellent.
Anyway, Joe, what is this second thing you're talking about?
Are you ready to have your mind blown?
Oh, yes.
my fella has a Crunchyroll subscription. Crunchyroll is anime, if you don't know. And so he watches quite a lot of animes, like he loves like Dragon Ball Z and all those kind of things. And he discovered this one and he was like, Joe, you need to watch this. You'll love this. And so we started watching it together, and it's called Food Wars. I'm going to butcher the Japanese now. It's Shokugeki no Soma. I've said that completely wrong, I'm sure. But so basically what it's about, it's based on a shonen manga, which again, I'm sure I've said that wrong. And that's like manga that's aimed at like teenage boys, so like 12 to 18-year-old boys. So you can kind of guess where I'm going with this.
Is there lots of boobies?
There's a fair amount of boobs, but it's done in such a funny way. I just can't be mad at it at all for the boobs.
There was one anime, I don't remember its name, but it's basically the premise is a group of schoolgirls with like one boy, and they're fighting for zombies, and all these different girls. I'm gonna have to find a name because it's just fantastic, and all those different kind of girls have their different weapons and the way to fight them, but they all had very big jiggly boobs, and it was the best show to watch because it was so freaking hilarious of those enormous crazy boob physics that were happening that were just
you're gonna love this then, because this is so essentially the story is that there's this kid, I can't remember his name, I think he is called Soma, I think that's his name, I can't remember right now, and he and his dad run this little food shop, like a restaurant type thing, and they're like, his dad's like an elite chef, and then his dad kind of disappears sort of on purpose and says, you need to go to this elite culinary school. So he goes off to this school, and it is like super elite. There's like hundreds of students, but only about 2% of them will actually pass and become like elite chefs. And so the series is basically following his journey as he's training to be an elite chef, but he's already immensely talented, and so there's all like skullduggery and tension afoot with the other students who think they're the best. But what makes it just brilliant is just the tone is so ludicrously fun. So what happens is when he makes food and people eat the food, if the food is like amazing, basically the people go into sort of a weird trance, like a weird orgasmic trance, and they end up taking all their clothes off and having like some weird surrealist naked experience. But if the food is bad, they end up having some horrible, weird, like, hentai type experience. And it's just so bizarre, but in a really fun way. And I'm just absolutely loving it. And even though it's a bit weird and, like, in the kind of Japanese anime pervy way that they can be sometimes, in that it's, like, 15-year-old girls and, you know, that kind of schoolgirl thing, it's kind of done in such a way that I can't be mad at it at all. I just love it. It's so silly. And so there's like one thing where, because the bad food he makes is based on squid, so of course that's why it's hentai when they eat it, and they're like, oh no, and so there's like tentacles and oh my god. I feel like I can't adequately describe it. I feel like you just need to watch it.
Here's the thing, with a lot of anime, it's really hard to describe what they're about. Some of them you just have to watch to get.
And it's just, and some of the food they make, like, so the other students will try and stitch him up a little bit, and so one of them like put loads of salt on his dish, and he was like, oh, and his, like, they were cooking in pairs, and so his partner was this younger girl, right, obviously, and she's about to fail, and so she's like, oh no, it's ruined, and he's like, worry not. And so he concocts this thing, and when he makes the food and they show the food and it looks absolutely amazing and delicious, and then he describes, like, when the teacher tastes it and is like, oh my god, having this orgasmic naked experience, he then describes what he's put in it, and it just sounds completely rank, and it's just like, what? That shouldn't work. That should be disgusting. And then this guy's, like, the teacher's like, oh yeah, nom 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 nom, and it's just absolutely amazing. So yeah, if you have Crunchyroll, you need to watch it. It's just so funny.
Oh, bless.
It's just classic. I love it.
Okay, good recommendation. Guys, I think this is the end of our show. I know.
It's the end.
I know. So before we go, we're gonna say thank you to a couple of people. To people on the forum, thank you to Richard Kirk and Stingo. To people on Twitter, Joe, if you want to do them.
So a big thank you and hello to Will Driver at WillDriver93, Gabriel Romo at SleepHit79, our dear Bleezy at BleezyBoy, and Richard Kirk at Richard Kirk.
And if you guys would like to talk to us or just get a shout out, you can do that on myriad different places. So of course you can go to BigRedBarel.com and go to the post for the episode or for any other episode. If you have some thoughts you had about what we were talking about, and leave a comment there. You can also go on Twitter at BigRedBarel. Using hashtag Geek Speak helps us to find your tweets. There you can also speak to us directly. I'm at @DustyTulip_.
I'm at Pixel Ritual.
And what's Charlie's handle?
He doesn't have one. He's too cool for Twitter.
I thought so.
You see, he shuns all social media because he's like he wants to stay true to himself and to nature and the world, and so he's like, no, I don't need any socials. Psh.
Fair enough. Goodbye, Charlie. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/BigRedBarel, where you can also join our Gamer Nights group and play some video games with us. Our episodes also come on YouTube, so you can watch them there and comment there if you so like. We also always love iTunes review. If you can take your time and can navigate the very ponderous iTunes UI, then please do leave us one. I have a couple announcements. So first of all, Tuesday is always a Tuesday, and in Loading Bar in Dalston in London, we have our board game night, where every week we bring a new board game, and if you try that game on the night, you'll be entered in a prize draw with the opportunity to win the copy of that game by the end of the night. There are also hell a lot of other board games there, and we actually got our second bookshelf, so now it looks all so pretty because all the board games are there, and it's like,
Aww.
I know, it's adorable. If you go on my Twitter, you'll see that bookshelf. Another thing I want to say is that next weekend, Dragon Meet is happening. So for whoever doesn't know, Dragon Meet is an RPG board game show. It's much smaller than other shows in UK, but it is in London. It's only for one day. However, the interesting part about it is that they have a dedicated podcast zone where there is a bunch of RPG podcasts and other things congregating there. And guess what? Geek Speak is going to be in podcast zone. So, if you want to come along and say hi to us, we are going to be there. If you want to find out more nice RPG shows and other things, again, pop by podcast zone and say hello. And generally, it's a really nice little show with lots of wonderful board game devs and other RPG goodness. So if you're fun, I highly recommend going to Dragon Meet, especially since apparently it's on 2 floors this year rather than being on just 1 floor last year. There you go. The last thing we have is Cookies and Booze, which Julie and me are doing every Sunday, at 8 p.m. Actually, we've changed because she wants to get home earlier because she doesn't want to go through the dark, which is completely understandable.
Yeah, this time of year.
I know, through the dark woods. So yeah, we're doing that. We are still playing Outlast, actually. Quite enjoying ourselves.
God, yeah, no one wants to walk home through the dark woods after playing Outlast.
Mm-hmm.
Bloody hell.
I know. Following our almost tradition from Alien Isolation for the first, I'd say 10-15 minutes of Outlast episode last week, where we're going around completely confused at what the hell was going on and where we're supposed to go and what was our objective.
Nice.
But we just figure it out eventually. Nice. Yeah, okay. Have I forgot anything?
I think that's it. I think we've got everything.
Cool. So, for episode 114 of BigRedBarel Geek Speak, I am in Butts.
I've been thinking about food now.
Oh, yeah, that's a good shout.
But not naked. Like, not thinking about it naked. Just normal food.
No one will know except for Charlie. Charlie will know.
Charlie will know, and he will judge. He judges hard.
Charlie! Message me later. Tell me if it's true. Okay. I think that cat bit just, I think I drove it right into the ground, to be honest with you.
Why not? Why not? It's all good. It works.
Anyway, and we bid you goodbye. Bye!
Bye!
Butts.
You and your ears are quite welcome
for the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
To BigRedBarel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarel.com.